Hi, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Coffee with Casey. We are excited. Last month, we introduced a new guest. That was the new style, the new format. We are excited to now bring you not one, but two guests to this episode. And we've got couches, guys. We got couches, we got armchairs. Super excited to have this panel here today. We got Tim Davis, our Director of National Coaching. We have Thomas Floyd, a loan officer in the greater Cleveland area. And then Casey Crawford, CEO of Movement Mortgage. Yes. Welcome.
Hey, great to be here.
Thanks for coming on. I mean, from all over the place. We got snowy Tennessee, right?
Yep.
Also probably snowy Ohio.
In Cleveland, icy, snowy.
Icy, snowy, all the above, and it's about to hit us, I think.
Yeah, we were looking at it. What we don't have is Tim Davis' signature jacket. Real disappointed when you walked in the studio here today.
Yeah, I got
Tim.
the shoes. I got the shoes.
wow.
Come
That's
on, man.
casual.
Our branding guy. This is your thing.
No, what is wrong? It's in the
Branding
car.
with Davis.
It's in the car.
It's in the car. So is this
in the
where we
car.
cut and let Tim run in the car? We like speed it up?
Right.
Yeah.
that'd be
So
great.
you probably know this guy better with a paint splatter jacket. Is that what you go with? Paint splatter?
Yeah, I would say,
term?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the official term.
But no, so we got a motley crew up here, right? But let's talk about how we ended up with this crew. I think, Thomas, this is your story to tell. So why don't you start it off, and then we'll fill in the blanks.
Well, it started a couple months ago at a luncheon with some movement employees. And one of the guys was getting ready to go to his discovery trip. And I happened to bring up that because I recruited myself into movement,
You hit the ground running. Right.
I did not get a discovery trip.
Okay.
So the gentleman I was speaking to said, well,
For anyone watching, if you self-recruit, we will now give you a discovery trip.
Right, guys. Let's clear that up. Right.
this is my discovery trip.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
So as we were talking, he said, well, do you want your discovery trip? And I said, no, I want to be on Coffee with Casey. And he said, you will never be on Coffee with Casey.
Wow.
And I said, if I get on Coffee with Casey, what? He goes, if you get on Coffee with Casey, I will fly you to Richmond and give you your discovery trip. And so that night I came, and that's the night that I reached out to you on LinkedIn, and that's how I ended up here.
And then you
Well,
took an
dang.
Uber to Charlotte.
Yeah.
Richmond. So we're in Charlotte. We got you to Charlotte, and you're having your discovery trip. And I can tell you, so I work with you on your social media accounts. You get a lot of messages, and we try to respond to as many as we can. But this one got your
When
attention.
you don't respond to them,
Okay. Well,
we have lots of problems because I start responding.
here we go. I was trying to really ease into that,
Yeah.
but that one caught your eye.
And to be fair, yeah, and you know what I loved about Tom, man, took initiative, said, hey, I know this is a long shot, but we want to do it. We go, goodness gracious, if this is a thing, we would love to have you, love to host you, love that you self-recruited to Movement, wanted to be a part of this family, part of our community. So I thought it'd be a ton of fun, to have you on. And guys, sorry. First come, first serve. Leaders take initiative, right? Leaders act. They take initiative. Tom took initiative. He asked, and so pleasure to have you here, man.
Oh.
Look forward to talking
Appreciate
some.
it. Now, I do have a
And
trivia.
taking over Cleveland.
I do have a trivia question
Oh,
for
here
you.
we go.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
See, this is what's
Yeah.
going to be surprising.
we
He's
are-
going to ask me a football question, and you'll be shocked by the pathetic lack of knowledge I have in this arena. Go ahead. I'm not going to know it.
I want to
You'll
ask
be okay
you,
with this one.
who is the only person in the United States
Okay.
that had you on their fantasy football team in 2002?
Wow.
My mom does not play fantasy football.
Right.
Susan Kristen probably doesn't either. My little
No,
sister. Jake,
no. This
you were
seems
in
like a
the
pretty
picture at
easy
the time.
answer, Casey. You're milking this one.
Tom, I'm gonna hope those guys sitting to my left that you have me on a fantasy team. Is that even possible? Was I even draftable? Can you
Yes.
draft guys that don't
But
play?
it
You had a
was-
big preseason.
All
right.
That's factually correct.
Was Ken Dilger and Ricky Dudley not on that team?
Ken Dilger and Ricky Dudley were on that team, which, I mean, two pretty decent tight ends. And I
One
was
Ohio State
behind.
boy?
So, yeah, Ohio State and Indiana. Guys who play for Illinois. So, Dilger's
As
incredible.
much as I would love to talk fantasy football for the next 45 minutes, guys, I do want to also talk about how Tim came into the picture. So we have at Movement, and you can talk about this a little bit, Casey, we have really grown our coaching program. And while we were excited to have Thomas on, this really lent, I think, a unique opportunity to bring Tim on as well, just to talk about, I mean, look, we joke about the Blazer, but that's your thing. That's your personal brand.
Hey,
That's what we do.
You love it. You love the Blazers.
So,
Well, I think
love
more
the
than
Blazer.
anything, like
Yeah.
I've been hearing all these incredible stories around the country. Oh man, Tim Davis changed my business, closing so many loans, greatest coaching I've ever had, all this stuff.
It's all true.
I said, you know
All
what?
true.
You know what? Let's go put this to the test. Let's see what the guy's got.
It's all true.
Step up,
do it.
live
Got it.
TV, live Facebook. Kind of TV, right?
You'll put me on your fantasy football team after this, right?
Who is drafted Tim Davis? I just read the top 10.
Yep.
30% of the top 10 coaching clients at Tim's.
That's right.
Yeah, they're in coaching right now. We are seeing actually an incredible direct correlation towards guys getting in coaching and dramatically improving their production numbers. So we said, let's see what you can do, Tim. What do you got, man? What do you got? We got Tom here. I mean, flew in from the Midwest.
Yeah.
Everything's still frozen out there. They can't build a house, can't break ground.
Yeah.
Ground's frozen.
That's no excuses.
Yeah.
Right? Does not matter, right?
Kick down some doors.
That's right.
Right.
Gotta make it happen.
So that's why Thomas is here. Tim's here. Again, thank you guys very much for joining us. So let's just dive in. We talk about the reason you're here is LinkedIn, social media. There is something about that initiative, especially on social media. You've told the story now a couple times on Coffee with Casey, but specifically things like that you see, why does that jump out at you as loan officers try to build their business?
You know, again, it's one of the, I mean, how much did it cost you to post that question to me on LinkedIn? What they charge again?
0.
Nothing? Man, a little bit of sweat equity, right? A little bit of hustle, I know Tim talked a lot about hustling with what you do. A lot of the strategies that you promote, Tim, are not expensive strategies. They're not buying leads, not taking a billboard out on the highway that you're going down. A lot of this business is built on relationships and relationship building, and that's done through personal interaction. It still is. You know, we have to be intentional about reaching out to our realtors, about reaching out to our builder partners, about reaching out to our past clients. That's the number one, I think, place of opportunity for you. Tim, you're coaching some of our top producers around the U.S., top producers in every company around the United States. I think one of the biggest mines they fail to work is that gold mine of past clients. You know, working out and reaching out to these folks. So, Tom, you leveraged social media to reach out to me. It was great. Obviously, we had a pretty quick response and got you here. We want to show people the power of taking initiative to reach out to your contacts and asking for business. Ask for business.
Simple.
Ask them about doing some business together. You had a really simple ask, and we got to make it happen.
Yeah. Very, very simple. I mean, I think probably any given time you're probably one question, one conversation, one person away from a dramatically different business. You know, just one connection can really change your business. And you were talking about past clients. I mean, they've already trusted you, right? They've already spent time with you and income with you, and they've already. Why wouldn't they be your number one advocate?
Yeah.
Right. But they're only going to be the number one advocate to the attention that you give them going forward after the transaction closes. Right. So if you're not intentional about giving them, attention and love and letting them know that you appreciate the fact that they came along for the ride and they were your customer, if you drop the ball with that, there's too many distractions out there in the world, and they'll be distracted by social media, and somebody else will send that message, right, or make that phone call or send something to them in the mail, and then immediately they're distracted, and you lose a ton of opportunities.
Yeah.
So
I think another place I see guys lose opportunities is during the transaction while they're working with their client. I remember great Joe Stump with Buy Referral Only used to talk about the reticular activator. And the example he would give is, when you go buy a car, all of a sudden, you notice I have a Tahoe. In South Charlotte, North Carolina here, all of a sudden you notice it's every other Tahoe on the road. They talk about somebody buys a punch buggy, and you look around, all you see now are all these other punch buggies driving around the road. People that are in the process of buying a home notice other people that are in the process of buying a home. They're talking about that. It's top of mind. People are talking about moving, and those things come up in conversation. And I think all we need to be doing is letting our clients know, hey, we have some time and capacity and would love to help some of your friends and family. Wouldn't it be nice to have a trusted advisor? Wouldn't it be nice to know you have a trusted advisor in the business that could help you with this home purchase? And I had my own little story of reaching out. Actually, that's how I met my partner, Toby Harris. It was a cold call to National City asking about a joint venture. Didn't know Toby from Adam, just got his name and phone number, called him, and he picked his cell phone up on a awards trip in the islands, and we hit it off and been partners ever since. So I've lived that myself and kind of experienced the benefits of proactively reaching out to do business with people I don't know.
Yeah, you got to get over what they used to call it, the 800-pound gorilla, which is that phone. Get over the fear of that thing and just pick it up and make that call and make that connection with somebody. You never know where it's going to lead. And I posted this the other day. I said, the difference between somebody that's producing a lot of business and somebody that's producing a little bit of business isn't some magical secret. It's the person that's producing a lot of business is just doing more income-generating activities. They're reaching out. They're having more conversations. They're making more phone calls. They're sending more messages on social media. They're just doing more of it. It's not some secret that's locked behind the door that somebody else can't get to. They're just up in their game. They're doing more activities. You probably did that in sports, right? If you want to be better, you got to do more reps, more sets.
Yeah. Is that what it was?
That's how you made the fantasy
Actually,
football.
I had a coach in high school that said, "Man, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect." Right. So it wasn't just doing the reps, but it was doing the reps well.
Right.
And it wasn't just hey calling, but calling with some skill, right, and kind of working on those skills to talk about your language skills, your sales skills, those kinds of things. So I'm a little curious. I don't know if you're curious, Jake. Yeah, as we sit here, see Tim Davis. I'm curious to see what goes on in these coaching sessions. We have a great guy here that's looking to plant a flag in Cleveland, a city we don't have a lot of presence in. We're brand new to Cleveland. I'm curious, Tim, of some coaching best practices. A couple, if Tom was going to take 2-3 tips away from this time together, what you'd encourage him to focus on most to take market share in Cleveland?
And especially in Cleveland, we walk in places right now and we tell them where we're from, and they say, "Who?"
Yeah.
Movement who?
Right.
Yeah.
Move
And
who?
that's what the
Is that how they say it?
Move who?
I told Tom this, outside. I said, when you're brand new in town, what a great opportunity, right? Because you got ground floor, you got nowhere else to go but up. But it really comes down to your daily activities. I think John Maxwell said, your success is always found in your daily habits. What are your daily habits? From getting up and getting your mind right and having a plan to attack the day, and then going out there and being purposeful and intentional about attacking the day, and going through it and making calls and meeting people and getting yourself exposure. Even in our branding events, we talk about don't just get exposure for the sake of exposure, but get intentional exposure. Be intentional about the exposure you're going to generate for yourself, and generate a lot of exposure, and that's going to create conversations. And then the conversations, you can lead to connections. When you sit down and you talk to somebody, you're gonna create a connection. We were talking before. You've got a German Shepherd. We've got a German Shepherd. That's a connection, right? Yeah. So we can build off of that. That's going to lead to a relationship. And then the more you feed into that relationship, which is your responsibility, not theirs. You've got to be the proactive person to feed into that relationship. Otherwise, it's going to die. And if you feed in that relationship, you're going to earn that referral.
So one secret strategy. Give us one of your secret strategies for building your profile. For you said you got to create some presence right in the marketplace. How do you do that? What's one strategy a guy can use to give himself some presence in the marketplace?
Like to really get a lot of exposure.
Yeah, some exposure, some level of exposure.
Okay, so I'm a real big believer in this simple concept, right? If you're going to show up like nobody else.
Come on.
Right? And so we've got our Agent Marketing Academy class.
Can't do the paint splatter jacket. It's already taken.
Already taken.
Sorry.
Can't get that, right? But you got to show up like nobody else in the marketplace. And so we have our Agent Marketing Academy classes. And so what I would do is I would get one of those set up immediately. I would invite everybody to come out to it, right? Title reps, real estate agents, everybody, and make a big splash about it, right? When the circus comes to town, they don't just say, well, there's a circus in town, would you like to come? Oh. No, they're like, oh my gosh, it's under the big top, and there's wonderful things that you're going to see. And so, like, energy level is very transferable. So you got to get your energy level up and believe that it's going to be a wonderful event, an amazing event, and tell people how amazing it's going to be, and let them know that you're going to teach some really great marketing strategies to help them further their business. And not only that, allow them to bring one of their very best listings. Say, hey, bring that listing that you have had a hard time selling, right? The one with shag carpet, bring that, and you're going to share it with all the other agents here in the room. And we're going to teach you a great marketing strategy. We're going to feed you, and then we're going to let you share your listing. We're going to see if we can't connect you with another agent to help sell that property, or maybe they've got a buyer for that property. Because now you're leading with giving something to them, right? It's got to be about them, right? They don't want to hear about you. They've heard about great things all their life. Like they're worried about their family, how they're going to feed it. And so make it all about them. But create this really big spectacle. Have balloons and have music. And like I was telling Casey, the Nashville Predators, and your mouth dropped over when I said this, right? The Nashville Predators hockey team was voted the #1 franchise in all of sports.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking like the Patriots, the Cowboys.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Right? Nashville Hockey, ESPN, #1 franchise in sports. And you say, how did that happen? You ready? The secret? Fan experience. Right. When they came to Nashville, and this will lead into the story of what I would do. When they came to Nashville in 1999, they were an expansion team, and they couldn't draft from good players, so they had to take players that could never make the NHL. So in this book that they wrote about the history, they said, we knew we were going to lose games. We were going to lose a lot of games, and we were going to lose them really bad. Now, how are we going to sell tickets to a fan base in Nashville that knows nothing about hockey? We knew nothing about. They had classes on Saturday to teach you the game of hockey. It's how bad we were.
No.
Yep. And said, how are we going to get people to give us their hard-earned money, right? We were voted #1 franchise based on fan experience. The ownership said, we've got to give them a great experience so when they leave after a really brutal loss, they walk out going, I'm coming back because that was the best thing I've ever been to. That's how you do your Agent Marketing Academy. When they walk out the door, they're like, man, that was the most fun event I ever been to. I learned something. I got to share about my business. I met some really great people. But you can't do it once. You do it over. You keep repeating it. And that's what I call exposure marketing. Now you can have that event and have 50 people you're talking to. Now you get exposed to 50 people, and out of that you start to build one-on-one relationships.
Yeah.
That's one of my best tips.
I love it. I love it. You know, I've heard your presentations before. And I love you open up with that Toby Keith song. I want to talk about me, right? I want to talk about me. People are self-concerned. We all are, right? And so you lead by serving. You lead by serving and meeting their needs. That's what I heard you say is go in there, tell them how you're going to help them sell that one listing. Tell them how you're going to help them in their business, and then give them an incredible experience.
Yeah.
Give them an incredible, that's what we built this business on, was the concept of, man, how do you love and serve people, starting with our loan officers and then our realtors, right? How do we serve those realtors, give them a better life?
Can I ask you a question?
You got one, yeah.
When you
said come, you didn't ask about a question, man.
when you came here to Charlotte,
Yeah.
when you made this company,
Yep.
how did you brand it when you started from ground one?
How do we brand it?
From the moment you took that thing with Toby
Yeah,
and went
it's
forward, how did you do it?
That's a great question. So Toby, my partner Toby was in Virginia Beach. Toby was known in Virginia Beach for 30 years, right? He'd been in the mortgage business forever. If you go to Virginia Beach and mention mortgage, somebody's going to say Toby Harris. They know him. He's an icon in that area. And down here, I literally did not know a single mortgage banker. Knew a couple realtors because I'd been a realtor myself. Knew a couple realtors, and I asked Toby that question. I said, "Okay, but I mean that's fine. You know, you have all these relationships and things. Well, I'm in Charlotte, man. I got Bank of America headquarters, national headquarters. You know, sitting in my town. And then at the time it was Wachovia was sitting here. The two of the 5 biggest banks in the world are headquartered in my city. How am I supposed to go get market share?" He said, "Man, one at a time, one loan at a time, one realtor at a time." And you know, I think I'm a very proactive guy. I love scale. I love thinking about big things like, you know, we want to be the #1 purchase lender in the United States. That's the kind of stuff that gets. And it was not really exciting to me to hear that I had to work with one realtor at a time, one loan at a time, and do that. But you know, we put our head down. We began to do that. We served one realtor. I was putting yellow signs on off ramps with Jeff Brown, my first loan officer that worked on my team at a time to help him drive some business, just out there hustling, you know, looking for one client, serve them well, ask for a referral, serve them well, ask for a referral. We got referred into a Keller Williams, who did a really good job for one of their top agents, who then happened to find out that their in-house lender was leaving. She said, "Gosh, you guys did such a great job." She didn't know there was only 2 of us. She didn't know there was only 2 salespeople in the whole company at the time. So "You guys did such a great job. Do you want to talk to my broker owner and be the in-house lender?" I went, "Man, we'd love that opportunity. My goodness, yes." And
awesome.
like to Tim's point, we wanted to make an impression. And we came in and, man, there was 2 other lenders presenting, and they had some little flyers and pamphlets. We had poster board after poster board after poster board of things that David King would be pretty embarrassed of right now because they were not nearly as slick and smooth as the movement branding is today, but they were our best effort. And we went in and we talked all about them, how we would serve them. We'd say, "Hey, you're hiring your next personal assistant because our job is going to be to professionally manage your pipeline to make sure you can go out and work with more buyers and sellers to grow your business, because we're going to take care of every buyer you send our way, make sure they get to closing, make sure you're updated every step of the way, and make sure that process is absolutely seamless for them so that they will refer you more business." And we just talked to them about hiring an assistant. And then we did that for one more realtor partner. And you know, it's incredible. I think over 5 years we look back, and Bank of America had gone from 20% market share down to less than 3 or 4, and we'd kind of gone up to 15, and really completely inverted that market share paradigm by serving one person at a time, telling that authentic story, and asking for referrals, just like you did. So people come in all the time and ask that question. How do I, I'm in XYZ city, right? It's always the same. Let me tell you about this. It's so much harder. Cleveland's so much harder. Oh, Cleveland's the most competitive mortgage city in the whole United States, and here's why: because our loan amounts are small. All these kinds of things go on. It makes it so hard in Cleveland, and everybody's got a story about being the hardest market in the U.S.
You know what Cleveland's best for?
What's that?
The loan rescue city.
The loan rescue. That number one. That
I've had 8
resonates.
of them in 8 months.
Wow. That's awesome. And every market provides for that. Every market has opportunities within it. It's just being intentional. First of all, you have to expect to find them, right? You tell yourself you're in the hardest market, you're right. You're right. We used to have a big sign in the locker room said, if you think you can or can't, you're probably right.
So, on that point real quick, one of my, in the very first coaching calls we do, I always tell people up front, I'm like, hey, your mindset every day, somebody in your city is gonna call or want a mortgage loan today. They're buying a house, they're doing something with a mortgage. Your job is to find them, so your mindset has to be every day, what am I gonna do? What's my best effort to find that customer? It could be calls, it could be meeting people for coffee, but it's got to include the ask. Hey, I'm looking for this person that's looking for a mortgage. How can you put me in touch with? If you go in that every day with a mindset that your day has to be focused around finding that one customer, you'll find 30 customers a month. It's when your mind gets off track and focused on all these other things beyond just finding and serving that one client. But that's the singular. And when you said that, it reminded me that you got to go in there with that mindset, finding that find that deal.
Yeah, and we've heard a lot of advice from you two, but we haven't heard a ton from you, Thomas. So what I want to hear is, what are you doing now, and what have you learned maybe right now on these couches? You spent a lot of time with Tim outside, downstairs. Maybe that you've learned today that you're going to take home and put to practice.
The biggest thing is, excuse me, what I told Tim was, I built a company from the ground up. It's not that I don't know how to do it, but I said to him, I think the way that my mind was doing it was pre-crash. Marketing was different back then. Loans were different back then. Refis were the boom, purchases were not. And that's what I told him when we spoke. I probably only did in that frame of time, probably 5 to 10 purchases a year. The rest were refis.
Okay.
And so now flipping that into purchase thing, and I think the biggest thing, what he's telling me and what I've learned today from both of you, is not thirst for the quick kill. In my mind, it seems to be you both have the same theme, which is serve one person, do it right, no mistakes, ask for the referral, and go on to the next. That seems to be, no matter what is going around in my head right now, that seems to be the focus and the theme. I could, not to get too crazy, but you guys don't know, I used to wear wigs and dress up in spandex, and I am a musician, and I do 80s hair.
That's going big.
80s hair.
We think like kids,
coffee real quick.
platform shoes, and
So it's real. Both of you are super disappointing today. No jacket, no wigs.
no way.
Yeah,
Got
I can
it.
show you pictures.
Thanks a lot. Maybe on the next episode.
I got the
But
shoes.
there's no fear in going after it.
Sure.
It's honestly, when I reached out to him over the weekend, it was, I'm in a different world than what I'm used to being in. I understand how this world works, but it's almost kind of like I need some steps. I need a little bit of guidance. And so reached out to my one of our neighboring market leaders in Columbus, who's been fantastic, by the way, the movement thing that you teach. The culture of this company is like nothing else I've ever seen. And I congratulate you on that, because this is truly a company about people trying to help people. And Brian Sumption has reached out many times helping me.
Wow.
He gave his time over the weekend helping me. Mark McGoldrick is there to help me.
Yeah.
And in a market where we're trying now to flex a little bit, I've got the support of what I feel is this entire company behind me by the way these people have all made me feel. And I can't thank you enough for that, because that's what, you talk about, as a professional football player, you got to do something that you truly love and you're passionate about. That's the way I've been with loans my whole life. I've been doing this for 30 years. I love helping people. I have 2 veterans last year I put in homes, and at closing, their kids are crying, the wife is crying. When you see stuff like that, when they never thought they'd get a home, and you made that happen for them, that's the greatest feeling in the world.
Thomas, you're a veteran as well.
Correct. Yes, I am an Army veteran. So
thank you.
it's, thank you, and you're welcome. But it's kind of like one of those things where the passion is there. When you can get up, I forget who it was that said it, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And that's the way I feel every morning since I've been with this company. I get up running with rockets coming out of the rear end and just hit the day running. I mean, that's what it is. I get up and I go. I get kicked out of every real estate office in Cleveland probably twice a week.
We've all been there.
And I love it.
You call me next time you get sad about it, because I've been there too. And I think one thing I heard you say, it's been important in my life, is having a coach and having somebody that there is just a support network to encourage you, to vent to sometimes, to remind you of what you're focused on. Toby was that for me, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I think every now and then he might say I was, there on the other end of the line for him as well, just kind of reminding one another, encouraging each other. And so that's something that's huge here at Movement. We talk about loving and valuing one another and being a community that cares about one another, and it's for each other, We're for each other.
John Kramer.
Yeah.
John Kramer was a big part of me hitting the road fast.
Fantastic.
He called every week. I was on the phone with him every week doing everything that we did, and that's a huge thing. People don't see the value in that, how much that amped my sales.
Yeah.
Just a little
checking in.
Just
checking in.
Just those little tiny little things.
It's that call, right? It's that, hey, what are the numbers this week? How are you doing in that, right? It moves the needle for everybody.
And you mentioned moving the needle, so just as we're wrapping up, 2018, what do you feel like is moving the needle most for loan officers as it relates to their brand? Technology is changing all the time. We try to use Facebook Live here. That's one thing I know that you've taught or that you do teach. I've seen your class, which is awesome. You talk about podcasts and all those kinds of things.
Right.
Is there something, as technology has changed, that's really starting to move the needle for loan officers as it relates to technology?
I mean, I think technology is wonderful and it's great, and certainly, Casey mentioned this earlier. It costs you nothing to get that type of exposure if you do a video or you make a post or you send a message. And I think the way I look at it is technology is free exposure, right? So why would you not, get that type of free exposure? But at the same time, what really makes the difference are relationships. What really moves the needle are relationships. And as I look at 2018, I'm asking the people that we're coaching, I'm like, hey, what are the quality of relationships you have in your life right now? How are you investing into the people that have invested into you? How are you going back and investing into them, that they've trusted you with their clientele, their businesses, and those type of things? What are you doing for them this year? Because it's going to require more activity, right? In 15 and 16, there was a lot of apples on the ground, and anybody could sort of pick up the apples because they were just everywhere, right? I think at 18, the apples are going to be a little higher in the tree, and I think you're going to have to rely on really good, solid relationships that each of you are pulling the rope in the same direction. I think that's one thing. I think using the technology to get your exposure out there is another thing, but you've got to be intentional about that. We were talking earlier about, if you've got a small group of friends on Facebook and you make a post, well, it's only going to get seen by a small group of friends. You got to ramp that friends list up, right? Get that to 5,000, push that up. But you've got to build relationships, and then it's old school. It's old school, but having a visual of where you want to go that you see, and metrics that you track. Right? Because if you're not intentional about tracking the metrics against the visual that you're going after, what you're going to do is you're going to get to the end of the week and you're going to say, well, I did this and I did this and I did that. But there's no real accountability around that. So our minds will kind of mislead us. Well, see, I made 4 calls, but if you're I think you got to be intentional about tracking your numbers and looking at a visual on a regular basis of where you're headed and build those relationships, and then use technology to get your exposure.
So you talk about building relationships and using technology. Pretty much exactly what you did, Thomas, to get here on the couch with us, which is awesome. It was a perfect let's do it. Let's just give ourselves a round of applause, clap ourselves off of this Facebook Live. No, but I know I learned a ton. Hopefully you learned a ton as well, viewers, and then obviously Movement employees as well. Thomas Floyd, loan officer in the greater Cleveland area. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And Tim
Really
Davis,
appreciate
man,
it.
I love hanging out, and I love the blazer. Next time, will you bring it?
I will bring it. Yeah, if you'll teach me how to do my hair like that.
That's a man. Come on, now that I can help you with.
I need help in that area.
I'm not in your lane with all the advice around loan officers and branding.
But hairstyling,
that I can help you with. Casey, thank you, and thank you for watching again. We've got another episode of Coffee with Casey coming in February. More fantastic guests, and we hope you join us.